Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Looking Deeper with Sandra Herrick, the Reverend Sandra Herrick, and me, myself, and I, Dana King Francisco. The chat room is open, so come on in and chat. And welcome to Finding Peace in the Eye of the Storm. How are you, Sandy?
Looking for it.
Uh-huh. We'll look together tonight.
Really kind of searching out there in the atmosphere. Oh, God. Well, welcome, everybody. And, I want to say a special thank you, Dana, for producing this and getting it organized and having it at our beck and call every month, and to all the people that are listening out there in the vastness of where we have begun to reach out to the rest of the world. And what an opportunity to just kind of spend one night a month with everybody that's out there. So thank you.
How are things out there in New Hampshire? Is it hot?
At the moment, well, the good news is the temperature has come down. We were in the car today with the top down, and it was 30 degrees cooler than it was the other day.
Wow.
It was in the 90s the other day, and it was like everybody was melting. The animals couldn't find enough shade or the cooler spot on the wooden floor or the tile. Bobby and I were both huddled in air conditioning rooms. It's like, you went outside, there was no air. And this morning we were headed down the road, and I said, oh my God, it's 69 degrees. It is literally 30 degrees different than it was just 3 days ago.
Aww.
So, and tonight, what was it, last Thursday before last, we got, I texted you. We had a tornado warning at 10 o'clock at night. So we huddled down to the basement and just kind of was like, you know how to pray when you do that.
Yep.
And things are wild. Storms. New Hampshire is a little chaotic. It's not a sleepy little New England town right now. But I just got out of the pool and had a nice long naked swim and pretended nothing was going on. Came in, I'm a little cool, and it's like, oh, I think I can get cozy and just chat to you in the world. How's everything over in Michigan?
Well, today was a little bit warmer than it has been the last couple of days. It's been really hot here, as it has been in most places, and a lot of wonderful storms. I happen to be a fan of thunder and lightning, so we've had lots of that, which makes everything grow, which I'm so appreciative of, and always remembering to drop some tobacco down, to lay some tobacco down as the storms are rolling in, so that the spirits of nature take good care when they're crossing the enchanted forest. So I have a good relationship with that. So does Todd.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get more tobacco.
I'm drying some right now inside the school, thanks to Claudia Nielsen.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, she and I co-facilitated a class at the school this past weekend about growing tobacco and drying it and sweetgrass. And it was fantastic. So
I saw that you had a class, and it's like, oh my God, the school, I'm so happy it's open again.
It is open. It's rocking and rolling. And we have lots of wonderful guests in the chat room. Lady Hawk. Hey, Geisha. It's good to see you again.
Oh, God, Geisha.
Yeah.
That's a voice from the past.
Lady Hawk is saying she'd love to have a storm right now.
Wow. Yeah,
Sonia is
Sonia
is in the chat room, and I don't know about you, but I'm having fun watching her competition videos on Facebook.
Oh, Sonia, you are. I don't know how you move in this heat with those babies.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And Laura Smith. Hey, Laura. Yep, you're in.
Hi, Laura.
My elder sister Dell is in the chat, as is Lily.
Dell.
My little sister Lily. So we've got a wonderfully full house tonight, and I'm really excited about talking about where do we find or how do we find peace How do we find the eye of the storm rather than get whipped up and whipped around by it?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge that this is a very difficult time for everybody. I don't know anyone anywhere that's not just having some turbulence, some stress, whether it's the weather, whether it's at home, whether it's the politics, whether it's cultural. I mean, I have not experienced this much turbulence in the world, literally, since 9/11 or the Vietnam War.
Mm.
And it's that kind of turbulence that we know we're safe, but we're not safe. And what I mean by that is we can look out and see that there's crazy things happening. Things are in chaos. We've got war out in the world. We have injustice all around us. And yet the calm in the storm is, how do you choose what to look at, what to support, what moves you, or what do you need to stop looking at so you don't drive yourself crazy without being unconscious, or I'll be very blunt, not disassociating. I mean, we are in some really chaotic energy here. So you and I are very profound in the way that we want to talk about people so that they stay healthy and they stay sane in all due respect without losing sight to what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to dedicate our show tonight to, what do we do in order to, last time we talked, it was like, how do you stand up? And I'm going to say for myself, peace is necessary because I don't want to lose my true north. I don't want to lose or be denied my sense of my own sanity. How do you feel about that?
Well, I would agree with that. And I want to welcome Audra and Jessica into the chat room as well this evening.
Hi, Audra. Hi, Jessica.
It's good to have everyone in there. I'm not typing into the chat room because I was notified yesterday that my typing is disruptive. So I'm not going to type anymore into the chat room. And I'm thankful that somebody said, if you could not do that, that would be a really good thing. So
what does that mean? That when you type, it disrupts it?
Apparently, which I did not know from this end. So I'm happy to not do that anymore. So people that are in listening, if and in the chat room, and you're wondering why isn't Dana engaging, it's so that I don't disrupt the recording of the show. So.
Because the sound of your typing is there.
Exactly.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So who knew?
Yeah.
I didn't know. After all these years, I learned something new yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So we are listening. I am taking a look at what's happening in the chat, and I'm so happy everybody's here. But yeah, staying at least in the eye of the storm. It doesn't mean we can always find a whole lot of peace, but maybe we can find some equilibrium or a little bit of balance in the eye. And sometimes we have to step into that eye of the storm, as you said, to disengage if we're over-engaged in the storm, or just to keep our true north, our equilibrium.
Right. I don't know if anybody has ever really been in a bona fide eye of a hurricane. And I would like to say that I have been. I was in Bermuda, and it was a direct hit over Bermuda. And I was in a hotel I was visiting, and the storm came, and it was really one of those kind of storms where pea soup was the whole, as far as you can see, the sky was pea soup. The rain did not just come down. It went up. It went sideways. Things started to fly around. And, it was frightening. And when the eye of the storm came, everybody went outside. because it was clear skies. It was absolutely beautiful weather. There was a calm that was absolutely bizarre, and chaos was the damage. The absolute presence of boats that have been lifted out of the bay and thrown across that are now in yards, and power lines down. And it was, I think it's important for us to say, or at least for myself to say, that when we see chaos, we don't always register what we're seeing. That there's a part of our psyche that does not always let us know how much danger is around us, or how is it possible that this happened. And then before you know it, the sirens started to blow and the storm returned, but the wind was in the absolute opposite direction. And it was as ferocious and threatening and chaotic as before, but now more traumatic, because it's like, if I saw the calm in the storm and it was so chaotic, what is it going to be when this is over? So I tell that story because I want everybody to know, when we go to the calm of the storm, when all this stuff is going on and we find the calm, what it also means is it doesn't disconnect you from seeing that chaos is around. It means we're given a moment to see what is happening, take stock, take inventory, make sure that we're safe, rethink, because we know chaos is still going to come, on how to stay safe. And that's what I really want to talk about tonight, Dana. How do we stay safe in mental health, our sense of fear or our doubt in what we think, what is chaos doing to us, or has everybody lost their mind? So let's give a couple of examples for how do you find safety? How do you stay sane?
Well, when I'm in the middle of turmoil or chaos, I stay sane by getting really, 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 really quiet and sitting with spirit or spirits. And sometimes that means I go outside and do that. Sometimes it means that I'm in this room, and this is where I keep my chanupa. It's where I keep my candles. And I check in with spirit in order to find that place of peace. I get quiet and hermit-like.
Yes. What does it do to you when you do that? Excuse me.
It's a reminder that the chaos that I am experiencing externally it's temporary, it's worldly, it's of this world. It doesn't lessen it, and I don't want to say that the chaos of the world is lessened, because we also have a spiritual life. But it reminds me that I'm both matter and spirit. And that when I'm quiet, when I become the hermit, it reminds me that there's more to the story going on. And in that time of sitting with spirit, I have the opportunity to perhaps see or feel or begin the inquiry into what is really going on here.
Right.
As a Scorpio, we are investigators. We want to get to the bottom of stuff. Other people can be really laissez-faire. I want to get to the nitty-gritty, and not tomorrow. I want to know yesterday. So for me, it's also a test in patience.
Yes.
To take a look at the larger picture, or just to begin the inquiry into, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, Cindy Wallier.
No way. Oh my God. Hugs and kisses, baby. I would like to share that I'm very similar, that there's that place inside me when chaos overwhelms me. First and foremost, I want to be able to track it. For me, it's like, it happens in my body. My body responds to it. It's like I see it. It's like, okay, there's an assessment. Okay, is this something I can be with or something I have to back away from? What happens to my breathing? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel scared? I register what's going on. And what's amazing is I'm good. When danger comes, you want me on your side because I kind of run to it rather than run away from it. But I also have that place of adrenaline that says, if I'm overextended with sensation, I will step back. I will literally breathe, and I have to remember to breathe because I know what it's like not to breathe, and ask for help instantly. It's like, and it's not that I have an inventory. Sometimes I just go, I'm a child of God. I'm in God's light, to bring something in and anchor me. I also will go into a quiet room. I'll take time out or find a quiet space wherever there's noise. It's like I turn the noise off and I go into me for quiet. And this is a very intense part of me where the tracker in me all of a sudden turns on, which means I assess. I don't know if you do that, but
yes.
It's like I track the energy for where's the trouble, what's happening, what do I need to do, how do I do it? And that can be from, is there danger on the street? Did I hear something that's too overwhelming for me? Is there danger in the community? Or am I just oversaturated, overtired, overwhelmed? I think it's important that we allow ourselves to know that being overwhelmed is almost a condition now that we're getting too used to being. What do you think about that?
I couldn't agree more with that. And Geisha, you're right. We are on this earth during a pivotal period. And each of us is going through our own pivotal period. And we are oversaturated with social media and so many things, so much information, good, bad, and indifferent, is available to us. And as you know, the planetary ooze is coming to the surface. As above, so below, our own inner world ooze is coming to the surface to, be looked at, to be dealt with, to be whatever. And so I'm very mindful anymore of how much time I spend on social media because there's so much going on. And we've become very comfortable in it and, frankly, addicted.
Yes.
Yes. Dreams are being affected. Del Marie is saying, I've been forewarned of turmoil coming in a dream. I didn't really partake in the Sundance, stayed home alone, still processing and interpreting my warning. I see things developing on the homeland and with the Pope coming to Canada. Well, that was something yesterday. And I just had all these feelings about the Pope in Canada and watching that woman cry. Well, she was singing, but she was wailing singing in the Cree language. And oh my goodness. And so it brings up things about, having grown up Catholic. Yes. And so, right? And so our our humanity is being saturated because we are being asked, I believe, to bear witness for one another to things that never before had an honest witness.
Exactly. Exactly.
All of us are being asked to bear witness.
Yeah. There is, the other day, I could feel that there was a shift. It was about a week, maybe a week and a half ago, that there was a shift where this overwhelming negative machine, literally, that has been just plowing down toward us, which is the end of the Piscean age, which is the karma. I mean, we can be metaphysical about this, but in the truth of, no matter how we want to explain it, the chaos is no longer grumbling. It's roaring.
Mm-hmm.
It's loud. It's outspoken. It's arrogant. And it's that place for me where exactly what you're saying, when the Pope, I mean, you and I were driving to a class the night that Dell was going off to Rome to talk to the Pope.
Barbara was going off to Rome to meet with Pope Francis.
Barbara went off to talk with the Pope?
Yeah.
And to think that how many years ago was that? And now he's in Canada doing the very request that Barbara made?
Right.
I mean, that brings tears to me to know she was so lost that night.
Yes, she was.
Going to end the chaos, to end the lie for what has happened and was so cruel to not just her culture, but the spirituality,
the soul
of the beauty,
yes,
of her people.
Yes.
And the chaos that brought, the fear that brought, the lie it brought, the deceit it brought. You think of how many hundreds of years that lie, that impression and that statement that qualified sacredness as evil. It's taken all this time for somebody to go and to know that Barbara did that. Could you please rethink this?
Yes.
And speak the truth?
Yes.
And I think that that's what we're really talking about for everything.
Yes.
And can please rethink this and truly speak the truth?
Yes. And there are roadblocks. There's chaos that happened. Remember what she called me and I said, let me know when you're getting ready to board your next plane. I want to make sure that you get to Rome okay. You remember what she said to me? I'm not a little girl. I'm not in kindergarten anymore. And she said it with an attitude. And Barbara, if you're listening, you know you did. And I said, well, that's fine. But I'm just telling you, I really hope that you let me know where you are so that I can make sure you get to Rome. And she missed her flight and couldn't get to a hotel in Chicago. And, by the end of it all, I had all of the executives in the hotel chain on call, right? And
exactly.
They personally woke her up.
In the living room managing Barbara.
At midnight, right?
Yeah.
Because we knew that the chaos understood who was coming to Rome.
Exactly. and it is that kind of thing where we can't dismiss that there was some defiance saying, if you're really going to mean that you want change, you have to really mean you want change. You just can't wish change.
Right.
And I am so amazed that there is courage with the dignity that Barbara went with, the sincerity she went with, but she also went with the clarity.
Yes.
That the lie no longer should live.
Yes.
And I think what I'm talking about tonight is our whole universe is being lied to on many, many levels with whatever the politicians are doing, whatever climate change is doing, whatever gaslighting is doing, whatever social media is doing, who you listen to, who you choose to listen to. We have to really take responsibility at some point to know where's our inner truth? What is the truth inside us that we know inside ourselves? Not the information we're fed to make us feel chaotic and fearful, but the information that gives us the clarity and the time to truly come to peace with something, so that peace elevates and spreads out and the lying stops. I mean that within our families, within our relationships, within our communities. I had a client just the other day that when she was saying, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And I said, what happens when you fear telling the truth?
Right. Well, Del Marie is saying Barbara is at Inipi. The tribe suspended all church activities yesterday. So we have some turmoil in the homeland now.
Wow.
You know, I remember, I'll never forget in 2006, traveling to Pine Ridge for the very first time. And I'll just be really honest, and this may, upend a few people, but that's okay. I've been known to do that. I drove onto that reservation and I saw a church. And I was immediately enraged.
Yeah.
And then years later, my granddaughter Davian invited me to bear witness to her confirmation as an Episcopalian. She said, Unchi, will you come to my ceremony at the Episcopalian Church? And I said, well, yeah, I said, well, of course I will. It meant a lot for her that I was there. And every bishop that you could think of the Episcopalian Church was crammed into this teeny tiny little white church. You know which one I'm talking about, Chue.
Yeah.
St. John's, which was the original church there at the Wounded Knee Massacre. Anyway, afterward, I sat in the church with a photographer from National Geographic magazine. And Sister Barbara went into the hall for the meal, and apparently the bishops and Father Two Bulls and Minister Karen, Reverend Karen, and the like asked her, what's your sister doing in the church? And Barbara, being Barbara, said, oh, my sister is clairvoyant. She's in there talking to the spirits, which, as you can imagine, raised a few eyebrows for those men dressed in their black wool cassocks. But anyway, Barbara came and got me. She said, they saved a spot for you at the dinner table. And I said, oh, terrific. So I went in, I sat down, and my inquisition began about who I am and what I do and how I see and blah, blah, blah. And so when they were done, I looked at the Archbishop and I said, and what was it like for you? Now that you're done asking me questions, what was it like for you to confirm two beautiful Native American youth into the Episcopalian Church, knowing the history of your church here on the reservation? And he looked at me and he said, well, you certainly know how to ask a question.
Oops.
And I said, and the answer is, and he looked at me and the tears just, poured down his face. And he said, none of this is lost on me, Denise. None of it is lost on me.
Right.
So what are you going to do about that? And Father Tubal's Chue, he was looking at me like, dang. So there was a getting real conversation, and Barbara just sat next to me eating her meal. letting me do what it is that I do in those conversations. So, you're right. And Laura, you are correct. Sometimes you need to just ask yourself, if I don't speak, who will?
There's the truth of knowing that we have the right to stay sane. What that means to me, and it's about, staying calm, being in the eye of the storm, and really being calm. There's a place where when we see something and know something, do we have the courage to say it? When we see that it doesn't have to be stripped from us or denied us, or even we don't have to be dominated.
Mm-hmm.
How I, even growing up, was able to stay sane. Interestingly enough, after I was calm, I would have an explosion. Something would just kind of blow out because I had enough. And it is yelling stop, or saying stop, being quiet or loud. I mean, what I experienced Barbara doing in that moment was going and telling someone, stop.
Yes.
You have the power to stop insanity.
Yes.
To stop a lie.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear you going into the church and asking a question, it's like, what are you asking to have stopped or to be seen? What's really happening? When I know that something is, we all understand friction. We all understand something's not right. I think it's important that we all kind of track, what do we do about it? How long do we let it go on for? I am a absolute, I want to say it, I'm guilty of knowing there's a disturbance in the storm and saying nothing about it because it's too much effort to even try to get it to stop. Or as a child or even an adult, it's like, okay, this one's not bad. I'll wait until the next one and I'll let this one blow over and maybe I'll try to catch it. Maybe later. Or, okay, it's just, I don't know what to do about it. So that kind of chaos inside me lets me know I'm scared of the chaos.
Mm.
And I think it's important that we address that when we're scared of chaos, we just want it to go away.
Yes.
Or we're hoping it will end soon enough and it won't be worse than the last one. Or maybe this is not bad enough that I have to make it worse by addressing it.
Yes.
And what I just said is so potent because it is that horror that if I can tolerate this one, it would actually be worse if I address it.
Mm-hmm.
And that even brings my body to that feeling of, when is bravery safe? And when is being quiet dangerous? That's really a powerful question.
Mm-hmm. It's a very powerful question. I knew in that moment, sitting at that long table with the men in black, if there's one thing that I have learned from my relatives, my Lakota relatives, is that they are not rude people. They are not rude people. And it's okay for me to be rude because, and sometimes I'm expected to be the blunt person. And I know my sister Barbara well enough to know when she's like, can you say something now? Or it's okay for you to say something, but I can't, because they are not rude people. And that would have been considered rude for one of the elders at that table to say something. But it was okay for me to do that. And I knew that. And I knew that whatever was going to be spoken by the Archbishop, who actually was from Michigan, over by Ann Arbor, whatever was said needed to be said. And there was none of the elders said a word. They just watched the communications between myself,
Right.
the Archbishop, and the Archbishop that was there from Cornwall, England.
That's a little heady. That's a little weight in the room.
Well, that's kind of right, the root of colonization.
Yeah.
And there he is.
Amazing.
It is. So sometimes, even the old adage that sometimes we have to speak the truth, even if our knees are shaking.
Right.
Do you find it's easier to confront the storm or acknowledge the storm for someone else easier than it is for your own self, Sandy?
I'm always better for the underdog. I can always stand up for somebody else. And is it easier? It's, I don't know if I can say it's easier. There's a justice inside me that comes out. And I will face something that's not easy, but I'm really available to do it. So easy is a great word, but I don't think the motive is it's easy, so I do it. I am called from my toenails to stand up for the underdog and step in.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a defiance inside me to know that because I was so brutalized as a child, because I screamed for help my whole life. And it's like, so to see a bully, to see a tormentor, they don't scare me. A tormentor doesn't scare me. They enrage me.
Yes.
So I have to be able to say that it's not easier. I'm inspired differently.
Well, that's a good way to put it.
And so, but maybe easy. My fangs are longer, my claws are out, and I step in. But the boldness that I step in with is a force.
Yes.
So I want to say, no, it's not easier, but I'm at ease doing it,
Mm-hmm.
even if I have the adrenaline. There's a fearlessness to it. Let me say that. There's a fearlessness to getting in there and pulling things apart. I have pulled people off of people. And so, or stepped into a screaming match and, kind of blew the energy up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's that place of, is it easy to do for myself? This is where let's talk about the body. I always knew that if I had something really, really, really important to say during chaos, and I couldn't find the words to say it, that I would stammer or I didn't know how to explain it, and this happened during certain ages or happened in the significance of certain relationships, that the fear was if I told the truth, I would either be punished or lose the very relationship I wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
And that even brings up sadness for me, to feel the memory, to feel the damage of, I wanted something to be safe so much. I didn't know how to say, please be safe, out of fear that I would lose the relationship rather than have the relationship turn around and be safe.
Yes.
I mean, That's the epitome of a trapped person being abused psychologically, emotionally, physically, perpetually, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But still having the love or the need for the love, and have the chaos go, again, I can still tolerate this, or I don't want to bring it up, until finally what has to happen, and it does have to happen, something either implodes or explodes.
Yes. I taught my kids, I've always taught my kids, and I still teach my kids. And it's nice as they've gotten older, that they will say it back to me. It's this piece about peace. I've always told them, not everyone is going to understand your motives.
Right.
During chaos or a storm, either a public storm or a private storm. Not everyone is going to understand your motives. They're not going to know the truth of what happened from all sides. And
Right.
you need to be able to find peace at the end of the day by looking at yourself internally in the mirror, what have you, and knowing that you know. And maybe you're going to be the only person who knows for the rest of your life.
Right.
But there's peace in knowing without having to have the approval of others or the understanding of others.
Right.
And that's hard.
Very hard. Because you end up alone.
Yes.
And we have to be willing to risk that.
Yes.
And when you're alone, then that kind of alters the magneticness of who do you attract and who is attracted to you.
Yes.
And that changes the playing field.
It does. It does.
It's risk.
It's risk. It's risk. Bringing up things that are hidden, that people are unaware of. Being prepared for ridicule, being prepared for, why'd you have to go and say that? Everything was fine. Did you have to mention that? Did you have to go there?
Right.
Anybody who knows me knows I'm usually the person who just goes there, or I'm brought there.
Right.
And oftentimes we're brought to those places, or we find ourselves in those places. We seek them out on some level of being. And I think with age, we get a little bit saltier, with you don't like it, you don't like it.
Right. And age also, you've got a little bit of wisdom, and I think I have age, so I can speak from age. There's a place where it's like, it doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
To have that kind of trauma.
Yes.
There's something else important, and it's called the quality of life rather than the ability to destroy it.
Right. Right. Well, we're living in a time, I believe, of ascension and of ascended thought, of ascended action for ourselves. And it begins with ourselves.
Yes.
We can't expect the world to ascend in any way, shape, or form if we're not doing our own ascension work.
Right.
And sometimes it feels like you're being pulled through a knot backwards.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Tara.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to say in the chat room?
Nope, Tara just entered into the chat room, so I'm saying hey.
Okay. So again, what happens? How do we find the peace in the storm? One of the things that we have to find out is, what part of the storm are we? What are we doing to contribute to it? Do we want the storm? Are we safe without a storm? Do you know how many people need chaos in order to feel like they're alive?
Oh, Lord. We don't have enough time.
The list is long, is it?
It is long.
They generate it, they activate it, they insist on it.
They are it.
You know, they thrive on it, and if it's too quiet, they will provoke.
Yes.
And so once we know these individuals exist, do we allow them to regenerate the situation or to poke the bear? And how much credit do we give them for being the bee in the nest that says, let's tear everything apart? It is important to be able to disconnect from drama.
Yes.
Without disconnecting from love.
Yes.
And I think that there are guide rules for this that I've learned in my old age, is to be able to inform someone rather than to shame someone or deem someone wrong, but to bring information to the chaos rather than just drama on top of drama. Once we start bringing information, I mean, within my own relationship, it's like I'm able to qualify. I'm not yelling at you. I'm informing you something.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know necessarily how to have a good safety word during chaos, like, stop, we're escalating. Stop, we're losing each other. Stop, something has lost its sense of truth. Stop, we're hurting the love. Stop, we're crossing the line. Can we come back from this? And to be able to feel safe, we have to know not just where our own line is, but where our line isn't. And what that means to me is I need to go further if I'm scared, and I need to go slower if I'm clear. And what that means is once I'm clear, it's like slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down. So that, and I know that you've done this because I've watched you do it. We've done it together when there's been chaos in situations that we've been in, where slowing down means if you slow down, the room slows down.
Mm-hmm.
If you slow down, the activity starts to, it knocks it off kilter. It's like, wait a minute, I thought we were getting hot and heavy here. It's like, it just slows down. And when you slow down, it means that you don't have to be in the force field of the chaos of staying confused, staying enraged, staying disconnected, or staying in the fear that you're going to lose something. Because slowing down means you're gaining sight, you're gaining observation, you're gaining oxygen awareness, and you're gaining information to assess so that whatever does need to happen can happen. You get a chance. What's it like for you when you feel there's a chance, Dana?
Well, what you're saying to me, what it brings up for me is the idea of becoming the observer.
Yes.
And watching.
Yeah, that just gave me the goosebumps. Absolutely. Slowing it down.
Slowing it down and observing the energy, observing spirit, observing. You know, one thing about being somebody who is clairvoyant is that often in the chaos, I observe what spirit is in the room. What spirit has entered the room.
Describe that a little bit, because I do that too. How does that manifest for you?
Well,
Everybody knows what that means.
If, for instance, if there is chaos in a room, if there is chaos in a conversation, if there is chaos in a situation that I am observing, I will watch what is drawn into the space. Who is drawn?
Right.
And likes attract. And so chaos attracts chaos. And one thing chaos cannot exist in is peacefulness or tranquility, or what I want to say is the understanding that they are being watched. So for me, watching somebody in a moment of absolute pandemonium and chaos, I watch what is evoked from within them and what is attracted. But sometimes I watch the spirit that entered the situation first and created the chaos.
Right. What do you do when you see that spirit?
Well, when I see that spirit, the first thing that I will do is ask the question, why are you here? And, sometimes stuff gets stirred up so that the air can get cleared, right? Sometimes the chaos is the ability to identify then the elephant in the room.
Right.
Sometimes we call those people the pot stirrer, right? So why are you stirring the pot?
Right.
And if it's just there because of malfeasance, well, then I send it away. I invite my guides to send it away, send it packing.
Right.
But sometimes the spirit of the place will evoke a conversation about the elephant in the room.
Right. One of the things that I have been able to witness after I blow up, to kind of just blow the chaos out, there's a force inside me that explodes, and it shifts it. It just shifts the adrenaline. It shifts the motion. That too, for me, all of a sudden you can see that all that chaos then knows there's another force in the room that is bigger than the chaos.
Yes.
And it knocks the chaos off kilter.
Yes.
It kind of shocks it into what? I mean, and I'm even talking, I have pulled dogs off of each other that have been fighting. I mean, they talk about going with another dog. I mean, it's like if my dog is being hurt, the dog that's hurting my dog is going to be hurt. It's like there's that place where whatever's inside me gets so big that it lifts things up and disengages the viciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Because chaos is vicious.
It is. And we can either feed the belly of that beast, or we can observe and say, what are you here to show me? What are you here to show me? So that I know how to engage or not engage.
Exactly.
How to be safe in the engagement.
Right.
I mean, there are chaos magicians, right? There are magicians that deal with chaos and the spirit of chaos. But the spirit of chaos gives us an opportunity.
Well, describe that.
For me, when chaos appears, it gives me the opportunity, and sometimes this is a challenge for me. I was texting Lily earlier this evening. For me, being, as you know, in the chaos of even trying to get my birth certificate.
Right.
The chaos surrounding my birth and subsequent bill of sales, it's chaos. And to sit back and to observe what or who on what track of time has created this chaos, this binding. Right? So for me, ceremonially, tomorrow night is a new moon.
Yeah.
So yours truly will be doing some unbinding work in the new moon, because that chaos needs to be dissipated so that the truth of my origins can be revealed.
Right.
So it gives me the opportunity to know there's chaos here. Dana, what are you going to do about it? And if you don't see it, if it's being so well hidden from you, what are you going to do so that it reveals itself? Have you ever been shocked to find out who the real drama king or drama queen really is in a situation?
Brought still to my absolute breath. Yes.
Yeah.
Shocked. And it's that kind of shock with when you look over your shoulder and go, wait a minute, what? It's you?
Yeah.
Breathtaking in its surprise.
Yes.
And once you see it, it's like all the evil puzzle kind of crumbles, and it's like, oh my God, how did I not see that?
Yeah.
How did I not see that?
Yes. So for me, when it gets to that point, then I go into high ceremony.
Right.
With spirit to take a look at the source of the chaos. Cindy Wallier is saying, I am thinking about timing and observing versus avoiding to maintain relationship, just thinking out loud.
Right.
And Del Marie is adding, so would I be bringing chaos when I ask questions about why, the why of ceremonial stuff? Absolutely, Del. For some people, that brings chaos, especially if they don't know the answer.
Right. Right. Wanting peace is chaotic, everybody.
Yeah. Yes, wanting peace can be chaotic.
It's very important to know that if you want information, it does bring up chaos. But you have to stay centered in yourself as everybody gets chaotic about what it is that you're really wanting to finally have the truth about.
Yes.
That you can be calm in it and let everybody else go crazy and just stay on point.
Exactly.
Stay on point.
Oh, did you just hear my drum just put an amen after your statement there?
Oh, God, you gave me the shivers. What happened?
Just as you were speaking, my drum went bing. Right.
I love the drum. Thank you.
Yeah. So sometimes it's spirit that helps us find the calm or find the peace. And sometimes the chaos can be due to ancestral. We got a lot of ancestral stuff going on right now here in the United States, and I'm guessing there's some, and correct me if I'm wrong, Geisha, some things going on to with our neighbors to the north ancestrally. Canada, I love Canada.
Universe, the world.
Yeah. So there's so much ancestral stuff that's coming up that we need sometimes to employ the assistance of our ancestors to bring peace, to bring harmony or equilibrium. But none of that ever happens without, rattling a few cages, maybe a lot of cages in big ways.
When there's a major disturbance in the force, it does activate the opportunity for peace because it brings our attention to the very truth that something's been stagnant or laying low or needs to be brought to the surface.
So, Sandy, in your nearly 75 years here on Grandmother Earth, what do you do with people in your life who have no desire of peace or to exist in peace, to offer peace, to be in peace, that are in your life in a personal way? What about these non-peaceful people? What do you do?
I have stopped being a part of them. I mean, it's really that profound. If I can't navigate a place of peace, I can take a time out. I mean, I need to be very, very fair here. I'm always in some unrestful place within my family. Always. It's not peaceful for me. My family of origin, my in-laws, it's not peaceful for me. So I'm very, very astute to, if I'm not feeling, I can feel love from my family without having to go and hope they love me. I know I'm loved and I know I love them. But there's some great disturbance right now in our family that it is so about history. It's so about who keeps the lie that what I have done is I will no longer tolerate the liar making me wrong for knowing the truth. It's hard, it's sad, but it means I don't support the lie anymore. I can't support the lie anymore. And I will not be made wrong for telling the truth. I've been banished because I've told the truth, but I've told everybody. I'm done being eliminated. And I would rather take myself out than have you all eliminate me by saying I can't tell the truth.
And so in those times that you have been banished, I have also been banished from my adoptive family. Where do you find peace in the banishment?
By knowing, and this is really sad and true, that I need to grieve the idea of my family and see it for what it is and not just hope it could be what I always wanted it to be. I had to really let go of, because I'm the one that left the family. I'm the one that started traveling. I'm the one that, would come back and visit them. But I went beyond the family norm and became the trailblazer that I left. And I would come back with new adventures. I would come back with abstract thinking. I came back with change and said, wow, this could happen. And I offended my family with the chaos of stretching beyond the norm of our family. So I had to take responsibility for it. Not everybody wanted me to come home with the radical new ideas I had or listen to the way that I was living, because it was too chaotic to them. It made them feel things, and I don't want to project. I don't want to, all I know is that my life no longer fit in theirs. And my love for my family was, I was always happy to go back home. I always want to celebrate, but not everybody was happy to have me return, because I was like the supernova that came in and burst everything up. And then it was like, how long is she going to stay? Can she leave? Good to see you. We love you. Get out of here. But then as things progressed and secrets started becoming older, thicker, more enmeshed, there was a bitterness. And in that bitterness, I had to go so deep, for whatever I'm about to say comes from that space with owning that I am dangerous to some people in my family, because I know the history. I'm not ashamed of mine. There's nothing anybody can say to me or to anybody else that would expose me, because I've exposed my whole life. I don't have secrets. And I had to learn the hard way that those secrets were dangerous to me, and I'm not ashamed of my life. I'm really, that takes chaos away from me, having no shame in my life. Mm-hmm. And I can say this from the dignity of, was I ashamed in my life? I've done things that it's like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. Or why did I do that? Or how am I going to explain this? Or do I want anybody to know? But I found out that there's mercy. I had to have mercy for me. That not everybody will understand what I have to say, will understand what I need to feel, or I can't control everybody's need to love me or not love me, or my need to have them love me. And it does boil down to that. Do I need them to love me? That's manipulation if I start saying I need you to love me. So I'm going to not say something, or I'm going to say something. I need to be honest, and I need to risk that the chaos will bring something new. And then time takes its time to have everybody kind of find where the dust settles. I'm amazed how dust settles and healing can happen. But I'm also very impressed with the people that are not in my life. I don't want in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make peace with that.
Mm-hmm. And that is a journey.
That is a journey.
Sometimes finding the peace in the eye of the storm is a journey. And it can be a short hop, skip, and a jump, or it can be decades in the making to come to a place of peace. And that's okay.
That, what you just said, is the decade part of how long it has taken for me to make peace with. I will never be peaceful with some of my family members, and the rest we will be in pieces and tactfully manage the love.
Mm-hmm. And it's okay if the love goes away. I've had people in my adoptive family that the love no longer exists.
Right.
And that's okay, everybody. If the love has gone out of a relationship that you have with family, that is okay, because you share blood with one another, or you grew up in the same household without the blood. When the love is over, or maybe it never existed and you faked it all along.
There's a mouthful right there.
When you no longer have, Cindy Wallier, when you no longer have to fake that love, and you can just say there was no love there to begin with. And I can be at peace with that.
That's right. It wasn't the love the way you really needed it.
Yes.
You had to sacrifice way too much to have it.
Yes.
And then if you have to barter for it, that's hard work.
It is.
That's really hard work.
Yes.
I mean, what we're talking about here is, episodes and episodes of, it's not simple.
Mm-hmm.
We grieve. Let's not forget, we grieve when we realize love isn't the way that we want it, so that we feel safe and that we're allowed to love.
Yes.
We grieve when we can't love somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Not just when somebody's not loving us. We literally grieve when we can't love someone. They won't take our love.
Mm-hmm.
How have you experienced that?
Oh, Lord.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's interesting as an adopted person, having had my biological family members reach out to me and say, hey, we know you. You look familiar, has been so glorious. I mean, it's really been a huge blessing,
right,
the way, but not with everybody.
Right.
I have encountered one relative in particular that I can think of on my mother's side of the equation that wasn't having it. Because the introduction of me into her family on some level made her feel as though I usurped whatever love my grandmother would have had for her, would maybe have been more favorable toward me as I would have been the eldest granddaughter growing up.
Wow.
So, and I had to sit with that. I was in this room the night of that conversation. And when I hung up, there was some chaos there. But wait a minute, everybody else has been so kind and so affirming. And I had to sit with that for a moment. And it was a journey to find peace in the fact that you haven't been a part of their lives.
Right.
So look at it from their perspective. Sometimes we find the peace in looking at it from another perspective.
Right. One of the things that I want to say is to kind of find the peace in the eye of the storm takes crying.
Yes.
Takes loneliness. Takes racking your brains looking for the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Take the sadness that it's even happening until something comes to ground zero and says, wait a minute, sniffle, sniffle. What is this? What is this really? And when we ask, what is this really? It's what am I needing out of this? What am I wanting out of this? What's the space that's being served?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the hope that love heals, or that we're not alone and that we're not unloved.
Yes. And sometimes the chaos does break open a space for the new and for the what's next. I remember, I was devastated, and the first person actually that I called when this happened was my sister Barbara, followed by a phone call to my sister Del Marie, the night that my adoptive mother told me that she never really liked me anyway. And on and on and on. And those were the first 2 phone calls that I made, and it was devastating. That 45-minute conversation was devastating to me. And I called both of my sisters who assisted me in that moment. And now when I look back, had none of that chaos happened, I would probably had not ever taken the Ancestry spit test.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Or the
Right.
23andMe.
Right.
And as, Del and Barbara always say to me, there's a purpose for this. It hurts. This really hurts you. But one day you're going to be able to look back and find peace and make peace.
Right.
Isn't that a beautiful thing when you come to the place where you've made peace?
Yes. And to know that something had to kick you out so you could find your way into yourself.
Bingo. Yes. Thank you, Lily. She's saying great conversation. Oh, thank you, Jan Francisco. Speak the truth. Remember to vote. Laura is saying, yes.
Good God, please, please, please remember to vote.
Yeah, we're voting here August 2nd. Todd and I are on deck to vote here in Virgins Township. Everybody get out there and vote. Raise your voice, whatever it happens to be. Not telling you how, but get out there and...
lives. It's the time of our lives.
Yeah.
We cannot sit back. The chaos, to find the eye in the storm is to make your voice count by voting, and to know what it is you're voting for.
Yeah. Investigate.
And I am voting for sanity.
There you go.
God.
Yeah.
I am so insanely insane with all this insanity. So, how we doing? How's our time?
Well, we are way past. And so there's peace in knowing that this life is also very temporary, that we are spirit and we are matter. But we do matter. What we do does matter.
It does.
Yeah, our home is in the stars. Our home is in spirit. But what we do here on Grandmother Earth matters, right? For the evolution of so many things, going backward and forward. So with that, everybody, have a beautiful evening. It was great to have everyone here with us tonight. Sandy, final thought.
Oh my God, in the new moon, take the time to go within, do your prayer for whatever it is that's chaotic around you, and know that time changes everything. If you need time, please take it, and take it with the mercy toward yourself that chaos brings something that eventually will unravel and give you peace of mind. I love you all. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Sandy. Blessings be everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye.